Day 2. The day following the quake finds Billy and Diane moving in with us in 3 days. That's my roommate's parents and my roommate's mom and his brother. Like us, they were greatly shaken up. When the earth decides to calm down somewhere a week later, they decide to go back to their place. Luckily so, because they were starting to get on our last nerve. Another good thing in the middle of this madness was my roommate had more work than he could handle. He was a construction worker. He replaced numerous windows, boarded them up, and tried to help with the building. His mom's place has been condemned after the quake. Money had been tight for a while. Over the last 3 months, we had to hit many of the food banks. The money that should have been going to the food was going up to Dr. Roberts or the We Connection. After a couple of days, the continuing aftershocks is driving me insane. I'm now even afraid to lock the bathroom door or even go to the bathroom. I'd end up taking the quickest showers ever. A shower isn't the best place to be caught in an earthquake. I would sleep fully clothed for the first 4 days. The first 3 days, I even slept with my shoes on. It seemed like whether I lied down during the day or night, another aftershock would hit. Day after day of this has forced me to make a decision I really don't want to make. My dad says I called him 6 days after the quake, begging him to help me get out of California and away from the continued aftershocks. I was in a state of panic. I left it up. Hold on. I don't recall making the call, but I did nevertheless. To make things worse, my life was nerve-wracking enough, and the rescue helicopters were flying so low over the city that would shake me up even worse. My nerves are on the edge. I can't take much more of this. If I had been working in California at the time, I doubt I would have made the following decision. My friend and I had spent a year trying to find a job in the office, despite my making good grades. And you know the story. You need experience. You don't experience, you don't get the job. You don't get the job without the experience. So, same crap. I was unfortunate of having to repeat the same scenario of my earlier schools and attempted comebacks. That only added to the nightmare existence. I had been in California for many years and knew that the cost of living wasn't going to go down. To get your own place, you have to have a great paying job. They're hard to find. I began to think that perhaps back in Phoenix I could finally start over. Maybe I'd be able to afford my own place and be happier. My new dream slowly evolved into becoming something else. I'd return to Phoenix, get my own place, get a new job, make new friends, and totally start over anew. That's my plan. 2 days later, I called my parents back. They said they were trying to find a moving van or a large truck. The real truth is they never wanted me to live in California in the first place. After a couple more calls, the time for the change was set up for the morning of January 29th, 1994. The present reality was way too much for me. The primary question became, what do I do now? Where am I heading? What's going on? The 12 days between the quake and departure was quite busy. First, I called most of my friends and told them so long. I had to tell them of my decision and why. Would they recall I made a part of me dying inside? The quake did manage to bring my friend and I back closer again. It was extremely hard telling everyone goodbye, especially not knowing if I'd ever see or hear from them again. Inside, I was really wishing that someone could prove to me that I was making the wrong decision. Wish I had a crystal ball, but could I stay here in California and make it? My dream of retiring here and making it here still came across my mind. Please tell me that things will eventually calm down, return to normal. Master, Macy, and I even had a long conversation. I was living with a Filipino family for 5.5 years. This became my final contact with my longest roommate. For the first time in months, another friend and I were talking, and he's the one that passed away 5 months after my death in 2013. All these calls are tearing me up inside. I have to do something I don't want to do. However, I now feel that I have no other choice. I personally tell my friend Tony goodbye, my homeless friend. On the way over to this place, I see thousands in a nearby park to get help. Destruction is everywhere across the valley. I'm living a nightmare. He was even closer to the epicenter. My friend came over and visited within the 12 days, and I spent one final night over at his place. Only one fantastic event occurred because of the quake. During the past week, I had called my supposed book publishers, Peter and Monroe. I demanded I get my book back. Monroe had had most of the book since 1990, and when he said that he'd publish it, I was lied to. I had done the previous 2 updates in the time he asked, and he promised me a new beginning and would get the book off the ground. Instead, they also screwed me over and destroyed another dream. I would have gone over to the publisher's house had I known the address. I didn't even have his last name. My hands were basically tied. Even after all this time, I still had no proof that he was doing anything with the book. At the moment, I'm glad it didn't come out in the 90 like planned, because since then, numerous things have changed. I've lived many lifetimes since. However, in January 94, I was quite angry, feeling like I'd been screwed over again. It took me a long time to forgive him by death. Every 4 to 8 hours, I'd call Monroe, demanding him to get his butt over here and give my book back to me. I would not leave Los Angeles without it. Late in the evening on January 27th, I finally got it back. I'll never blindly allow anyone to have the manuscript again and the copyright. I'm not going to be suckered a second time. Get everything in writing and get it legal. I was wishing he would turn all the copyright information over as well as the floppy disk, but he did. He said his place was a wreck as well due to the quake. So I'm grateful I even got to back the manuscript, which I've updated up to 2003, and that's another story. I'll do my 3rd rewrite in a few months. Before he leaves, I gave him a few choice words because I really felt he had let me down. I also told Peter that if either of them does anything with the book or anything with the interviews I gave, I will sue their ass. They're now totally out of the picture and pretty well in my life. I'll never have blind trust for anyone else again. I learned from experience. On the afternoon of the 28th, my dad calls and says he'll arrive to Burbank in the morning. My close friend shows up and we get started up and smoke. I with my roommate and another friend. For a final good memory, we all headed over to one of our favorite retros. We had a couple drinks and talked about the plans I had. A little later, my friend and I headed over to my roommate's parents' place and tell them goodbye. Seeing their damaged apartment, I could see why they were nervous about staying there. They were in the process of heading to Arkansas. Soon Robbie would join them. One of my friends gave me a Beatles video, which I still have, I think, before I left. When I tell my friend good night for the third time in 2 days, he is not making it any easier. Every time he would cheer me up inside. After he leaves, I get a bit higher with Charles and Robbie one last time. Everything inside of me wanted this nightmare not to be real. I keep asking myself, why is this happening? Why am I doing this? Am I sure I made the right decision to leave? Truth is, we don't really know for sure, and I still don't know for sure now. Every decision and action has its pros and cons. If I had access to a crystal ball, I might have been able to see what I'm about ready to get myself into. A part of me now knows I would have canceled my transfer had I known. Don't get me wrong, not everything has been negative. Just been over here since 90% of my reality in life has changed. As we all know, change never comes slow, it comes easy. Stay tuned as we begin a new road. On around 4 a.m. the morning of the 29th, the 150th aftershock hits, I am constantly being reminded as to why I decided to leave. Even getting high couldn't really help calm me down during the shakeup. My dad happened to be in Riverside during this one. He'd go through his one and only earthquake. When I hugged Robbie goodnight, it was the final time. While trying to fall asleep, many tears are being shed because the California dream is finished. Over the last 12 years, I survived the Rodney King riots, other riots, fires, floods, being homeless, getting jumped, the drugs, the wild parties, the other earthquakes, being in the food bank, and much more. However, for some unknown reason, I couldn't survive this quake. I knew it was over. Since 1970, when my dad got back from Vietnam, I've been living in California on and off for 19 years. 12 of those years have been in Southern California. So my leaving is not going to be easy. Being in this much pain, I'm seriously wondering why I even survived. And it's just a question of time. I remember in 93 when I moved out of Arizona, I said under no circumstances would I ever return to Phoenix to live. I would have to eat those words. I don't say the word never anymore, because it usually happens. Visiting the parents in Phoenix is one thing, but living there again is a whole different ballgame. Looking back at it now, I wish I had a third option. There has been some close calls before, but I somehow managed to make it through and stick it out in Los Angeles. Now it was an all real reality. Or is this just another weird dream? I have noticed I had nothing personal against Arizona, just I enjoyed living in Los Angeles more. My dad arrived in Burbank around 9:30 a.m. After finishing packing, I spent my final 5 hours sleeping on the front room couch. As tired as I was, I knew there's no way I could heard him knocking in the front door on the back bedroom. When he first arrived, he had a strange look on his face. He had never seen one of the places I had called home before. Later, he'd wondered about the sleeping arrangements, however, I couldn't explain it to him yet. First, I take him on a quick tour in and outside the apartment. He then goes to his van and waits. With the help of my luggage carrier, I move the boxes and things into the van. You should have seen the look on his face when I brought out the numerous boxes of cassettes. I had around 1,100 at the time. Not bad for a 20-year collection. Internally, I'm going through a tug of war while packing up the van. On the outside, I'm trying to keep happy, positive attitude. It wouldn't have done my dad any good to realize this move was actually killing me. I would give almost anything. For this not to be real. I did leave behind my large fire extinguisher, cooker books, and odds and ends. What I mainly left behind was my hopes and dreams. This, more than anything else, was to put Pepperland, the Living Tree Project for the Beatles in Griffith Park, and the Pepperland Rainbow Beatles tribute tour I was on, preparing, was going to stop. Also meant ending the relationship with my ex-girlfriend, Kathy. Before heading to the nearby storage room, I tell Charles and Darlene goodbye. I tried without success to wake up Robbie. Since the quake, I'd only been inside the storage room twice, had to psych myself up to go in this old building. In reality, it sustained less damage than the apartment. When I finally get brave enough to go back for the final time, I find that only 2 things had been moved. Nothing inside the room had been damaged. I was really glad now that I had changed to a smaller room. The things could have been messed up if I and my friend had kept the original. Because of the continuing aftershock, I would quickly empty out the storage room. Everything that I now owned to my name was in the back of a large Nissan van. I'm about as depressed as I can get. Please wake me up and tell me this is not happening. Why can't I stop this? I'm actually feeling numb inside. I feel as broken inside as the ground that was around me. A year ago to the day, I was on top of the world after graduating business school with good grades. My God, how can this be happening now? I'm supposed to be working full-time at a great job and be living with someone in recovery for this time. If I had been working, I would have had less of a reason to stay. I would have had more of a reason to stay and fight. I knew after a year, the job search wouldn't get any easier. Needless to say, there's a lot of fear inside of me. I'm afraid of the quakes, I'm afraid of staying, and I'm afraid of leaving. Later I come to the reality you can't run from natural disasters. We head down the Hollywood Freeway heading toward Arizona. I have to pass by Hollywood and downtown Los Angeles. I'm wondering if I ever see the next unique city again. I have been back 4 times since '94. During a 6-hour trip back to Arizona, I had numerous songs running in my head. Some of the Beatles songs were I'm Down, Help, Helter Skelter, Misery, Gab Blues yesterday, and it's all too much. Non-Beatles songs were a whole lot of shaking going on, dazed and confused, shaking all over, crying separate ways. By the time I get to Phoenix and all shook up, all these songs and others were to help me deal with being in shock and depressed mood. January 17th, 94 will forever be the day that everything changed for me. Without a doubt, this became one of the top life-changing events in my life. My parents were really glad to finally see me leaving California. I wish I could say the same. Inside, I'm feeling powerless and despondent. Upon my arrival back, I'm in a total state of shock. It took 2 weeks until I could relate to Lennon's lyrics. Tomorrow never knows. I know what it's like to be dead. This is the way I felt primarily around this time. My body was in the van, but I was totally dead inside. I hadn't felt this bad since John Lennon's death in 1980. Before starting on the road to Arizona, I have a couple comments about the 12 years in Southern California. It was hell in paradise. The best of times and the worst of times. I experienced much more than I thought possible. It was fun while it lasted. The best thing to come out of the move was finally get my book back, leave my friends on good terms. I will greatly miss this place called Southern California. Nowadays I couldn't afford to move back. Even though I am now physically out of the earthquake, I'm still being affected in Phoenix. You know the old Hotel California song? You can check out and never leave? Well, I'm still there. For months I had bad nightmares that I was in another quake. Any little shaking would set me off. Even when the heater or evaporator would come on, I start to shake. Later I discovered it was PTSD. It would take a major adjustment on my part to finally adapt to being back to Arizona. From being in the fast lane for years, it suddenly comes to an abrupt halt. To be honest, I would miss it quite often. Unlike in California, here I couldn't find any place to escape to. From not being in church for months, I'd finally start going 3 days a week to different meetings. At first this was difficult because I was still angry with God because of the earthquakes, being unemployed, and having to move. Soon I'd have to accept it and move on with my new life with God's help. Lastly, I'd be thrown back into recovery in the near future. The nightclub discos would become an extreme rarity. Now 25 years later, I rarely feel like I'm at home in Phoenix, but I believe due to technology and more that people are more isolated and less likely to talk to each other. By the grace of God, I have got 23 years clean and sober and lived despite the pain and the suffering. I've got my own place and I've been on my own for 21 years. And I try to keep in contact with a few people back home in California. A part of me is still there, but I have to come to the realization that I'm here in Phoenix and I have to make the best of it. So, that you just heard the story of one of my top 10 life-changing events of my life. And with God's help, I will find a way to make it here in Phoenix, even though, also tomorrow marks 5 years since my income and my business career crashed, but that's another video. So, Moral of the story is be prepared for anything and pray for the best. Please get an emergency kit ready. You just never know. Okay? God has me here for a purpose, even though I don't know exactly why. So, anyway, with that, I will say adios.